Hello everybody, welcome back to part 8 of the Border Corner. It's pretty lively in here this morning. The birds are singing, all guns blazing. So coming up on today's programme, I've just done a really fun clip of the birds when they're having their baths. I don't know why, I find it mesmerising. I hope you don't mind me showing this on there. Just fast forward it if you're not interested. But the buff cock behind me in here, he absolutely loves it. So I've just left that on there. So I hope you don't mind me putting that content on. I just wanted to have a chat about breeding woes, for want of a better word. Have a look at the bird room layout again, which I think might have contributed to some of the breeding issues that I've had. Catch up with the Fifes, the new feeders that have come in, and I wanted to just have a quick discussion about breeding behaviours, particularly from the cock. So let's get to it. It's like real playtime, isn't it? You put the bath in, and if you've got birds that like bathing, it's great fun just standing and watching them. This buff cock on the right, bottom right here, just spends ages in. That'd be it, that'd be his lot for the day. I've also got this yellow hen over here. She's not quite as invested as the little buff cock is, but she likes a good bath as well, and she'll revisit quite a few times. It's brilliant to see, isn't it? It's one of those signs that we know that our birds are in good condition, so it's always encouraging. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is the bird room layout. At the moment, as you know, we've got the bank of cages along this back wall, and this is predominantly where most of the birds are kept and where my plan was for them to all be. But I've also got this L-shaped piece at the end, which is next to the aviary. What I did when I set the birds up in spring, I had all of my hens along this back wall, and then the two best cocks, which is the cock bird in here, which is in shot I think, and then the self green cock at the top there, which I don't think you can see, and one of these yellow cocks. They were all placed in this back cage, in this back bank. I just felt that gave a good separation for me, and I knew where, you know, it was a good place. I could drop them into the show cage and then place them on the front of the hens as and when I needed to. The first round of eggs that I had, first nest from the birds, pretty much every one of them is clear. I've got one fertile egg, I think, and that's in the hen down in this bottom cage. So she's sitting on 3 and there's one fertile egg. I think everything else is clear. This hen up here, she's just laid her 5th egg, and she's sitting on plastic eggs at the moment, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so what happened is that I had lots and lots of clear eggs. So I just took that to mean it was the start of the breeding season. I'd gone early because I've got a wedding in July and my son is going to look after the birds for me while I'm away. And I thought if I could get the birds to breed earlier, then it would mean there's a lot less for Elliot to do. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out like that. So what's happened is I put my best hens in this top row, and when I took the cocks out and placed them in the cages in the first round, I got successful treads. The self-green cock trod his daughter, the one that we affectionately know as Albert, if you remember, thanks to my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, and then 2 other clear hens and a lightly variegated hen. He trod them all, so I was quite optimistic. Now, as I say, they were all clear. So I broke the nests down, cleared the eggs out. Each hen had 10 days or so as a recovery time, and then as soon as I started to notice them picking up and being a lot more active in the cage, back went the nest pans, nesting material and so on and so forth, and they set to building a nest. So I then came along with the cock and tried to introduce him to the hens again, and there was pandemonium. Every hen that I put the cock to, they fought. Out of the 3 hens, they fought viciously. Not just him attacking them, it was the hens attacking the cock as well. So I took it out, and then I tried again, and I tried again, and I repeated this for 3 or 4, attempts, and I was quite pessimistic as to what was going on. And coupled to this, at the same time, the very heavily variegated cock in here, which is the best, one of the best cocks. I had this. Okay, I'll pick up that part of what I was saying again. My battery's just run out on the camera, so I've had to do a bit of a recap. So basically, what I felt was a good setup for the room, which made it more sense for me, is actually what I did was set it up in such a way that the cocks could get easy access, easy viewing straight across to where the hens were located over here. And the heavily variegated yellow cock and the self-green cock actually looked like they pair bonded with different birds. Now it was thanks to Andy who mentioned this to me. What I did is I put those birds in a show cage and held them in front of all the different hens, and there was no reaction until they got to a certain bird. And as soon as I presented them to that certain bird, they started singing and displaying. So I moved the cage away, went back along the hens again, no reaction, took them back to that pair bonded hen, and they started singing again. So that appears to be exactly what happened. So what I've done is I've had a rearrange. The best cocks are all on this wall, the best hens are all on this wall. In this cage is the variegated yellow hen with the variegated buff cock. So I've kept them in this cage over on this side because I've got them set up together as a pair. So hopefully they should at some point. She's built a nest now, which has been good. That happened the last couple of days. And then the hen above and the hen below, they're showing no signs at the moment of wanting to breed anyway. So I'm quite happy for them to stay where they are. So what happened with the green cock? So I put him back in with, actually it turned out to be his daughter, and as soon as he went in the cage, the wire was had a wire divider on, and he immediately started singing and displaying. So I thought, well, I'll gamble, I'll take the wire separator out and see what happens, and he trolled straight away. Seemed to be, you know, as far as you can tell, it seemed to be a good tread. So, and since then they've been fairly amicable in the cage. She's made a nest, and she's laid her first egg this morning. So fingers crossed on those guys. So yeah, a bit of a lesson for me there. I've got to be very careful about how I arrange where I place birds, because I don't want that happening again, obviously. I have separated the cocks and put them in different places, and now it's just a case of waiting to see whether I can break any pair bonds that might have been created. So I'll let you know how things progress with that. So here we can see this is the pair of greens that I was just talking about. This is actually the daughter. Laid one egg, as I said already, and then if I just come back up here, I don't know if this is going to work. That's the cockbird. Sorry, that's really not very good videography, is it? But so fingers crossed on these guys. So here we've got the South Green hen. As you can see, she's buried herself in the nest. She's laid the one egg. I swapped that out with the plastic one this morning. So, but she's laid the one egg. She's got the maternal instincts now. I think she's wanting to sit on it. So hopefully, I keep saying hopefully a lot, don't I? That's me trying to be optimistic. But yeah, so I just thought I'd show you her sitting on her nest. Now this is one of my newer pairings. This is a clear yellow hen. She was one of those that had been paired to the green cock that was going to be part of the multi-hen to single cock pair matings that I'd intended. But because of the disaster that happened as a result of those, I've put her in a cage, and I've put a self-green, where's he gone? I put in a self-green cockbird who has been singing, been really active. So I put those two together, and they have laid 5 eggs between them. Now I've taken all of those away. I'm not 100% sure if they're all going to be fertile, because I actually only saw him tread her once. So there may be some fertile eggs in there, but I'm not 100% sure. So what I've decided to do is to take her eggs, and they have now been put in the egg box, and they will be going in with this Fife. So this is the dark Fife that we talked about before. She has already laid 2 eggs, so I'll just let her lay another couple. I don't know if that's actually coming out on there for you to see. Let's just try that a little bit better. There's the Fife hen. She's laid 2 eggs. I'll wait until she's laid the 4th, and then I'll put all of the border eggs under her, and we'll see what happens, whether any of those border eggs are fertile or not. The reason that I've decided to take them all away is because if they're not fertile, and as I say, there is a chance that they won't be, I don't want her to sit all that time on eggs that have got no chance of being fertile. So I figured what I'd do is I'd take them away and put them under the Fife hen, and then if they're fertile, brilliant. If not, then she'll go back down on eggs, and hopefully he might tread her and we'll be away. So I mentioned the Fifes earlier. The Fifes have been quite active. The hen here you can see with the kapok in her beak. She's quite tame. She comes up and takes the kapok out of my fingers if I offer her any extra to line her nest with. They've already done quite a good job. He's mated her quite a few times, and if I can get a good shot on here, they've already got a reasonably good nest set up here. I wanted to show you this pair. This is a pair of clear yellows. The yellow cock is on the left and the buff hen is on the right. He has mated her this morning. He's actually trotted twice this morning in quite quick succession, and that came about by I rearranged the birds and put them in the places where I was going to have them set up for effectively what's going to be for the rest of this season now. And as soon as I put him in, he looked through the crack between the slide and the hen and started singing. She squatted, I pulled the slide out and he mated her. And so I split them up almost immediately and carried on with cleaning the birds out. He started singing again within 10-15 minutes later, singing strongly again, looking through the gap in the slider. She squatted, I removed the slider, he went in and mated her again. So 2 very quick treads there, so we'll have to wait and see, but hopefully clear cock, clear hen, fingers crossed, we'll get some clear youngsters out of these 2. I don't know if any of you remember the white cock bird that I had in the bird room that I lost a few weeks ago. And then my friend Malcolm lent me his white cockbird, and here he is. So far he's shown no signs of singing, no signs of any interest in hens or anything of that nature, and I think I know why. Yesterday morning I came out to see the birds, and he had ripped up, she had ripped up the paper at the bottom of her cage and had done a pretty good job of shredding it. I thought I'd throw in a few pieces of jute today to see what happened with those. She's had a number of those off the perch, been carrying them around the cage, dropping them, picking more paper up, more shredded paper, carrying that, and so on and so forth. So unfortunately, the cock that I was hoping that it was is actually a hen. So that's another of my strategies out the window. So got to keep thinking on my feet. Obviously, it's what we all have to do. A few weeks back, I mentioned that I had some spare cocks. Now I've already shown you one of those with the buff hen that we spoke about. I mentioned a few minutes ago. The other spare bird that I had was this yellow cockbird. He's got a little bit of variegation on his wing, as you can see on this shot. He's a really nice shaped bird, actually. I think he's got quite a good type about him, so it might actually work out in my favour if we can get something from these 2. So he sings really strongly, one of the best singers in the room. I hope that means that he's quite fit. There's quite a lot of nosiness between them up against the gap. I pulled the slider a little bit so they can see each other. There's quite a bit of interest between the 2 of them already, but I'll give it another few days and see where we go before I get too excited with these. But yeah, as you can see, hopefully as you can see from here, he's not a bad looking bird. Got a good type about him, so it probably isn't going to be too bad an issue for me if he does actually manage to pair up with I'm trying to get her in the shot and I'm not doing a very good job, am I? It'd probably be quite a good job for me if they do end up pairing together, these 2, and I might still get some white or some allied youngsters, which is still my target. I'm still desperate to breed some allieds. So watch this space, and yeah, we'll see what happens with them. Talking of the blue stroke white birds, you'll all remember the starting bird to this, I call it Odyssey, but my white line. Here you can see the blue hen. She's having a real go at the piece of cuttlefish here. One of my friends said to me a while ago that he always knows or has a really good idea about when his hens are going to start laying, because they show a lot of extra interest in cuttlefish. And I've noticed a couple of times today this blue hen has been getting up to the cuttlefish and having a good old munch on it. So maybe she's getting close to laying, although I've only seen her mated once. Now I've got the same cockbird that I had for the first round, despite the trials and tribulations of that first round that I mentioned at the start. So we've got the blue hen, and she's in with the variegated cockbird. There he is. I don't know if you can see him actually. Yeah, there he is. So what I do is I'm running these guys as a trio. This is the variegated cockbird, and this is the variegated hen. Now today he's mated her 3 or 4 times this morning, within fairly quick succession. So she's got a nest built. She built the nest probably, I guess she built the nest about a week ago. So that's all done and dusted and ready. As I say, he was treading her today several times this morning in fairly quick succession. So I think that, well, I'm hoping that that's going to be good for us. So that's that one trio, and then I have the other trio. Sorry, that's the one hen of that trio, I should say. And then these are the other two. So that's the variegated cock and the blue hen. She's the best nest builder in the room, bar none. She's incredible. She started to show signs of being active after I'd given her a 10-day down period. So I thought, well, I'll stick in a new nest pan and some nesting material just to see how she got on. And she had this done in an afternoon, and since then she's just been playing around with it, a little bit of K-pop every so often just to line it. But generally speaking, she had that done and dusted in no time at all. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. There it is, that magic word again. No, the magic word was hopefully, wasn't it? So we'll see what happens. But that's a trio, 2 nests built, birds mated several times. So this is an unflighted hen. She is sitting on 4 eggs. They were set on the 3rd of April, so 11 days. One of them I believe is full, not 100% sure, but I believe one of them is full. Not convinced about the other 3. So that's the one that hopefully next week we'll have something to show you. And then moving along to the cage next to her, there is another buff hen. She's sitting on 4 eggs. They were only set on the 11th, so they've only been down for 3 or 4 days. So we've got nothing from her yet. So we'll see what happens with her. By next week we'll be able to candle them, and hopefully she'll have something in the shells. I must admit I found it hard with what's gone on with the birds the last couple of weeks. I think it's lack of experience on my part. In hindsight, I really wish I hadn't have even tried to do multiple hens to a single cock. I don't think I've got the knowledge or the experience. I haven't been wholly 100% sure about what I'm watching for. When's the right time to move the birds in together, and so on and so forth. So I think that I've learned, in this year, I've learned that lesson. Obviously, the placement of the cocks in the cages so that they could see the hens and pair bonded with them, that's really not helped at all. Given me a problem. So we'll see how we get on now. Obviously, with the way I've got the birds now, I've got a number of pairs set up. I know that some of those birds may have formed bonds with other hens. I hope it's only, the 14th of April, so I'm hoping that there's still lots of time left in the breeding season. So I'm hoping if any of the hens come into breeding condition and start squatting and calling for the males, regardless of whether they've tried to pair bond with another hen or not, I'm hoping that instinct will call the cock towards the hen and he'll tread her. So we'll see about that. Something I've noticed this week, now with the birds, the couple of birds that I had last year and early doors this year, when the cock treads the hen, he simply gets on the hen, mates her, and then jumps off, flitters about, maybe goes and gets some food, a drink, gets up on the perch or whatever. This year I've had 3 or 4 occurrences of the cockbird treading the hen, seemingly on the hen for 4 or 5 seconds, and then after he's finished, he sits down and he pushes his head right back, puts his head on his back and kind of tweets very, very fast, not like that. And I wondered what the reason for that was. Is there, does that signify when they do that, does that mean that they've actually managed to mate successfully? Is it a thing that they do because they're frustrated because they didn't mate successfully? But it's been quite noticeable that I've had on a number of occasions a cock has done that, whereas in previous times when I've witnessed treading, that hasn't happened at all. So if any of you have seen that and you want to put anything in the comments and let me know what that's all about, I'd be really grateful, really pleased to hear it. I actually noticed it on the Fifes as well as on the Borders. So the yellow cockbird up here in the Fifes, he was the one that I think he was the one who did it first, and then the variegated cock that was in with the buff variegated hen, he did it. So yeah, be interested to know what causes that. So if you've got any thoughts or any ideas on that, give us a shout. I'd be interested to know. Thank you. Well, I think that's probably about it for this week. I'm sorry if it's a bit of a bitty episode. As I'm at the end, I'm thinking back about what I videoed. I've got a feeling that it jumps about a little bit. So apologies for that. Apologies for a bit of a doom and gloom type video as well, really. I was hoping that by now I would be able to have brought you a few shots of some youngsters in the nest. So alas, that's not to be. I'm still waiting for that. I think all the birds are all conditioned properly now. It's just a case of letting them just do what they want when nature calls them to do it. So I'll keep doing my bit and feeding them and giving them everything else that they need, and hopefully it won't be too much longer. I hope you're all doing okay with your birds. I know there's quite a few guys out there that are putting on Facebook and other platforms showing their birds with lots of youngsters in the nest. Carl at Carl's Bird Room is having a stormer of a season for his first breeding season. I'd like to know how many he's got in his young bird aviary, but he's doing very well. So there are plenty of people out there. I hope you're having good luck with yours as well. That's probably it for this video. Join me again in part 9 next week. I've got one nest that has got the hen is sitting on 4 eggs, of which one I think is fertile. I think I might have missed showing you her. So with any luck, we might have a youngster in the nest next week. But if not, I'll keep going and I'll see you on the next one.